Hello YouTube, this is our future and the power's with the people. Hope y'all been enjoying my book that I'm putting online and sharing with everybody. I will say that these are my expressed opinions based on the research, and I've done my best to reference some of that stuff, but it is an old one. But you're more than welcome to Google that stuff yourself and look at it. This next video, this next chapter of the book is chapter 6. It is about 9/11, and I hope you guys enjoy that. Now, next week we're going to take a break from the book. We're planning a trip up to Elbert County, Georgia, and we also going to do a little kayaking and also go see the Georgia Guidestones. So we'll get a little footage of that, and just to switch gears a little bit. And so stick around. We've got some interesting stuff coming up. I hope you enjoy this one and the following chapters, all right, for the case to prepare. Let's get started. Okay, YouTubers, this is chapter 6 for a case to prepare. Like I said, this chapter is on 9/11. And it was made years ago, but actually some of these websites and stuff and videos are still up for you to look. So that's a blessing. So let's get started. Chapter 6, 9/11. This is the smoking gun. Anyone who is not willing to look at the discrepancies in the reporting, the 9/11 Commission report, and what really happened that day is a fool and the poster child for ignorance. Please reference chapter 1. Yes, there's a lot of bogus information out there. The media, our government, mainstream experts, and the majority of our society refuse to even discuss the possibility of a conspiracy and label anyone who does not believe in a conspiracy as an idiot. I will challenge you to take another look. Let's start with this video. It's an hour and 40 minutes long. I ask that you stop reading this now and return when you are finished. Okay, so this video is still up. It's YouTube. Please type in this exactly. Rare amateur 9/11 footage with audio not show on TV. And it's not by a useless eater. It's by Pete McBee. But let's pause this and I'll show you 1 second of it so you'll know which one it is. Okay, this is 14 minutes into the video. This is it right here. Let me so you can see it. Steve McBee. Rare amateur 9/11 footage with audio not shown on TV. You guys really need to watch this. There's real science behind this video. Excuse my camera work.
This video footage was filmed by Richard A. Siegel. Rick Siegel was a child prodigy who was recruited by numerous Fortune 500 companies for his problem-solving and computer skills in the years leading up to 2001. He was a pioneer in the field of internet television webcasting and had aired over 5,000 hours of original programming through his own company Online TV as of September 11, 2001. He was a frequent visitor on business to both the North and South Towers and held security passes at the time of the tragedy.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rick Siegel. This is about where I was on the day that the 9/11 tragedy occurred when the two towers were hit. I was in the shower, I was in the bed when I heard the first one, and
Okay, so back to the book. I strongly urge you, I know it's an hour and 40 minutes long, but if you care about what's going on and you want to see some real science that proves that 9/11 is different from that, I urge you and desperately urge you to look up this video. All right, it's interesting how just listening to the radio in the background gives you hundreds of clues that what we have been told ever since that day is not even close to what really happened. If you are told something over and over and over again, you will believe it. It's called brainwashing. There are countless videos on YouTube that can prove without a doubt a conspiracy. These are from professional and reliable architects, engineers, pilots, explosive demolition experts, and actual witnesses that will prove the events that happened that day were impossible the way we were told. Yes, there are some very bad ones, and weeding out the bad ones will discourage you, but you must look anyway. The importance of YouTube cannot be underestimated, and I would stress now BitChute, because YouTube is just way too censored. You will get a visual of the actual events along with analysis. The technological age goes both ways. It serves us as it serves them. I bought into the official story until September 11th, 2007. I was watching the usual 9/11 documentaries on TV and watching the news that day and noticed specific details that I remembered were either completely left out or obviously changed. I started digging and I became a believer of a conspiracy. Then I asked myself, why? Again, follow the money. The U.S. defense budget for 1999 was roughly $255 billion. You can look this information up for yourself to double check me if you like. On September 10th, 2001, Donald Rumsfeld testified before Congress that he had lost $2.3 trillion above the 1999 defense budget in 9 months. That means he had no accountability of the money at all. You can YouTube that as well and watch him. No one remembers that. I wonder why. The 2004 defense budget was $380 billion and skyrocketed from there. And that's the official version. The truth is the Defense Department basically got a blank check. And let's pause right here. I want you to see this CBS News article. 1 second.
Declared war, not on forests.
The adversary is closer to home. It's the Pentagon bureaucracy.
He said money wasted by the military poses a serious threat.
In fact, it could be said that it's a matter of life and death.
Rumsfeld promised change, but the next day, the world changed. And in the rush to fund the war on terrorism, the war on waste seems to have been forgotten.
My '03 budget calls for more than $48 billion in new defense spending.
More money for the Pentagon when its own auditors admit the military cannot account for 25% of what it already spends.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
2.3 trillion with a T. That's $8,000 for every man, woman, and child in America.
That's on September 10th.
The Pentagon can lose track of trillions.
2001 that he testified. Isn't that convenient?
Find out what happened to a mere 300 million.
We know it's gone.
Listen.
We don't know what they spent it on.
Jim Minery, a former Marine turned whistleblower, is risking his job by speaking out for the first time.
Listen what happens here. Listen how they work.
From one defense agency's balance sheets. Minery tried to follow the money trail, even crisscrossing the country looking for records.
The director looked at me and he says, "Why do you care about this stuff?" It took me aback, you know. My supervisor asked me why I care about doing a good job. So
he was reassigned and says officials then covered up the problem by just writing it off.
They got to cover it up. That's where the corruption comes in. They've got to cover up the fact that they can't do the job.
The Pentagon's Inspector General partially substantiated several of Minery's allegations, but could not prove officials tried to manipulate the financial statements. 20 years ago, Pentagon employee Franklin C. Spinney made headlines exposing what he calls the accounting games. He's still there, and although he does not speak for the Pentagon, he believes the problem has gotten worse.
Those numbers are pie in the sky. The books are cooked routinely year after year after year.
Retired Vice Admiral Jack Shanahan commanded the Navy's Second Fleet, the first time Donald Rumsfeld served as Defense Secretary.
With good financial oversight, we could find $48 billion and lose change in that building without having to hit the taxpayer.
In the 2.5 minutes since this report began, the Pentagon has spent nearly $2 million, and it may never know where 25% of those tax dollars went. in Los Angeles.
Who pays for that? Take a guess. Why did we invade Iraq? The official story is Al Qaeda and weapons of mass destruction, of course. Please understand that the U.S. dollar is the world currency for oil. It's called the petrodollar. Saddam Hussein was selling oil for euros under the table, so we opened up a can of democracy on his ass. Our government was scared that if he was successful in trading oil for euros, the other countries would catch on, that our currency would crash. That's because our currency is a Ponzi scheme scam. Our government knows this full well, so it is our policy to go to war with anyone who tries to do the same thing. And guess what? Many countries want to dump our currency because they know it's a scam. Can you guess which ones are the biggest proponents of this? Venezuela, Iran, North Korea, Syria, and Russia. The old axis of evil in George W.'s speech also happened to mention the 4 countries left in the world at the time that didn't have a central bank owned by guess who? Iraq now has a central bank. How about the Pentagon? Are you willing to accept that the most secure place on the planet with cameras everywhere claims to be hit by a plane, but the only image, singular, not plural, no real video, is a flash of light? We never got an image of a plane hitting it, ever. But they claim a passenger jet to this day, and the public buys it. Check out the flight path they claim that plane had. Absolutely impossible for a large jet to make that turn at that speed and altitude. No questions asked, and to ask makes you a freak. How about the phone call from the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania? If anyone reading this remembers being on a plane in the year 2001, you would remember that as soon as you took off, your cell phones didn't work. The reason? Cell phone towers broadcast their signals down. There's not much reason to broadcast up. The official claim is that call was made from a personal cell phone. Impossible. Building 7. Ever hear of it? I bet not. It was never hit by anything, had a small fire, and fell in less than 5 seconds. Explain that using true science, logic, and reason. 9/11 was an inside job to get public support to whip anybody's ass our government wants. It also brought in a host of other agencies and deals that took our liberties away. The NSA, DHS, a more powerful female, military, police, actually paramilitary police, NAFTA, and many bills were passed since then that basically degrades the Constitution and our Bill of Rights to nothing. And I might add, if anybody wanted to say something about NAFTA, that the actual USMCA it is actually worse than NAFTA. It is now legal for the governments to detain you indefinitely without trial, even if they think you're a terrorist or against the U.S. in any way. Pastors are now being led by FEMA and DHS to preach from Romans chapter 13 in a way that teaches the public to be submissive to the government in the event of a crisis. And it gets a lot worse than that, I promise you. This stuff is for real. It is not a fairy tale. Research it for yourself. I promise you, the truth is scarier than any book, movie you've ever read. Osama bin Laden was killed by SEAL Team 6, and they dumped the body in the ocean before anybody could see the body to actually confirm it. He was also employed by us for many years, as was Saddam Hussein. Operation Just Cause was a warm-up for the Iraq in the 80s. All of these wars have been bogus, and now we are in perpetual war. The media has become nothing more than a government propaganda machine. Real news is being suppressed while we are force-fed lies. The FEMA camps we have feared are real and can quickly be mobilized. This could, in the near future, be a quarantine shelter for people not vaccinated for a disease or something. They are death camps. Thinking the Holocaust will never happen again or on our soil is dangerous thinking. No one watches the news or pays attention to what is going on. No one questions anything anymore, and if they do, it's just for a minute, and then they go about their lives. We gave up the true American spirit. We are too weak to be patriots as a culture. They got us. Don't think this will happen. If they would orchestrate 911, they will do this. It's just the next step. The Holocaust was a practice for the real thing by guess who? The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. And now, obviously, Bill Gates and all the other people that are completely on board with all of this. I'm sorry, it's true, and it's here. Want more proof the Bible is for real? This will put chills down your spine if you've never heard this. I'm writing it here, but I challenge you to grab your own Bible and look for yourself, because I'm going to read it to you. This is Revelations chapter 18. After the vision of these things, I saw another angel coming down from heaven. This angel had great power, and in his glory made the earth bright. He shouted in a powerful voice, "Ruined, ruined is the great city of Babylon. She has become a home for demons and a prison for every evil spirit, and a prison for every unclean bird and beast. She has been ruined because all the peoples of the earth have drunk the wine of her desire of her sexual sin. She has been ruined also because the kings of the earth have sinned sexually with her, and the merchants of the earth have grown rich from the great wealth of her luxury." Then I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of that city, my people, so that you will not share in her sins, so that you will not receive the disasters that is coming to her. Her sins have piled up as high as the sky, and God has not forgotten the wrongs that she has done. Give that city the same as she gave others. Pay her twice as much as she did. Prepare wine for her that is twice as strong as the wine she prepared for others. She gave herself much glory and rich living. Give her all that much suffering and sadness. She says to herself, 'I am a queen sitting on my throne. I am not a widow. I will never be sad.' So these disasters will come to her in one day. Death and crying and great hunger, and she will be destroyed by fire, because the Lord God who judges her is powerful. The kings of the earth who sinned sexually with her and shared her wealth will see the smoke from her burning, and they will cry and be sad because of her death, and they will be afraid of her suffering and stand far, far away and say, 'Terrible, how terrible for you, great city, powerful city of Babylon, because your punishment has come in 1 hour.' And the merchants of the earth will cry and be sad for her, because now there is no one to buy their cargoes of gold, silver, jewels, pearls, fine linen, purple cloth, silk, red cloth, all kinds of citron wood, and all kinds of things made from ivory, expensive wood, bronze, iron, and marble, cinnamon spice, incense, myrrh, frankincense, wine, olive oil, fine flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, carriages, slaves, and human lives." Could this be the stock market? The merchants will say, "Babylon, the good things you wanted are gone from you, and your rich and fancy things have disappeared, for you will never have them again." And the merchants who became rich from selling to her will be afraid of her suffering and will stand far away, and they will cry and be sad and say, "Terrible, how terrible for the great city. She was dressed in fine linen, purple and red and cloth. She was a shining with gold and precious jewels and pearls. All these riches have been destroyed in 1 hour, Every sea captain, every passenger, the sailors, and all those who earn their living from the sea stood far away from Babylon. As they saw the smoke from her burning, they cried loudly, "There was never a city like this great city." And they all threw dust on their heads and cried out, weeping and being sad. They said, "Terrible, how terrible for that great city! All the people who had ships on the sea became rich from her wealth. But she has been destroyed in 1 hour. Be happy because of this, heaven. Be happy. God's holy people and apostles and prophets. God has punished her because of what she did to you." There's a few more verses, but I think you get it. There's more, though, and you're more than welcome to look this up. American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower at 8:46 a.m., followed by United Airlines 175 hit the South Tower at 9:03 a.m. The South Tower fell at 9:59 a.m., and the North Tower fell at 10:28 a.m. Our economy has never been the same and never will. And that concludes 9/11. And obviously, I can't believe they got away with 9/11. I really don't. I mean, you know, Sandy Hook and all these other ones. And I really find it hard to believe that they're getting away with this. But I think this just goes to prove that people are more scared for themselves than they are for doing what's right. And this is a really sad statement, but it's true. And I just hope that this wakes people up to say that we need to stand up and we need to look at this stuff and we need to question. And if we need to open these questions back up again, then so be it. Let's open these questions back up again. God bless.